is what is fair and right in this country.
Mr Chair, let's remember why the original bill was brought to this House, and that was because of the failure of ECAN. The failure of ECAN to bring in an operative water plan. So let's hear in this House, let's hear it for the irrigators. Let's hear it for the water users in Canterbury who have only benefited from the bill which was brought in, and the Environment Canterbury Temporary Commissioners Improved Management Water Amendment Bill. They will benefit from that as well. Yes, we heard an awful lot of submissions while we were in Christchurch and we sat in Wellington. A lot of them were pro forma submissions, although the numbers might sound good, and many of them were pro forma submissions, and I was going through them this evening in my office, and they all said virtually the same thing, but there were some submissions which stood out, and I'm going to just use one or two of those today. And one of them was, and I'm very unashamedly going to quote from the Waitaki Irrigators Collective Limited submission. Now, those are that's a collective which represents something like 5 or six irrigation schemes throughout the Waitaki Valley mostly, which is in the southern area of ECAN, but they have been very badly affected, the farmers in those irrigation areas, by the non-performance of ECAN over the 7 or 8 years that I have been a member, up until the commissioners, up until Nick Smith, Minister for the Environment, took the brave step of bringing in commissioners to actually get a water plan operative, something that the former Labor government could not in any way face up to. He made the brave step to bring in the commissioners, and I can report from the lower half of the ECAN's area that the performance, in fact, has increased tenfold. In fact, the number of complaints coming into my office has dwindled down to less, I might suggest, than a trickle. We have a good relationship between the farmer constituents, the ECAN commissioners and the ECAN officers. And so, just turning to this submission, I just want to quote a little bit from it, if I may. Although the Canterbury Water Management Strategy, which of course is a strategy initiated by the mayors of the Canterbury region, which, by the way, to a man supported the original bill which brought in the commissioners, to a man, or should I say to a council. They were the ones that initiated the Canterbury Water Management Strategy. Although the Canterbury Water Management Strategy was established under the elected council structure, it is questionable whether so much could have been achieved over the past 2 or 3 years under the elected councillor model, given the severe disruption and difficulties caused by the Canterbury earthquakes to the staff and resources of the Environment Canterbury. They go on to say, the previous structure often meant that those elected to the council represented particular philosophical positions in relation to water use and management. As issues became difficult to resolve, these positions tended to become entrenched. And didn't we see that playing out in Environment Canterbury before Nick Smith stepped in and took the brave step of appointing commissioners? Didn't we see that? I saw that in my electorate. I saw that with a lack of direction from Environment Canterbury at the time, with its elected representatives and officials who failed to deliver to all the constituents in the catchment of Environment Canterbury. They go on to say, and I accept this as well, while a return to some form of effective democratic leadership, they're the practitioners. They see what goes on. They're not sitting in their list bailiwicks in Christchurch having a view on these things. These are the people who are actually working within the ECAN boundaries. They say, while the return to some form of effective democratic leadership of Canterbury should be a medium to long-term goal, the Waitaki Irrigation Collective believes that the current situation of having appointed commissioners leading Environment Canterbury and govern the implementation of the Canterbury Water Management Strategy should be maintained for the time being as per the bill's provisions. And why do they say that? They don't say that because they've been jacked up by the Green Party to come in and have a wail to the Select Committee. They say that because they represent the irrigators who are the productive heart of South Canterbury, and they say that because have experienced the non-performance of ECAN under the former regime. Eugenie Sage was one of those councillors who was, Mr. Speaker, who was dismissed. They have operated under that former regime. They understand very clearly from practice that the commissioners are doing a good job, and they support their continuation.
I'm calling Mojo Mathers.